Good morning, Heat Seekers. We are finally back with our game day Boomer Bust show. It's been a very sad 8 months or whatever we've been dealing with no football. Bryce, you were on the show with me last year. How's your time been in between last season and now?
It's the worst time of the year when it's not football season. Summer's great and all. You got your vacation and stuff, but this is the best time of the year. So I really just look forward to NFL football. I don't even really watch any other sports. So I'm really excited to get back to it. Sully, what about you?
Well, I love baseball season as well, but I'm a Red Sox fan, so I didn't really watch too much this year. It was a bit of a train wreck, but I agree with you that there's nothing more exciting than week one. Your fantasy teams have a shot. Your NFL team has a shot. Everything's alive and possible in week one, so I'm raring to go.
Yeah, I'm so stoked. All the work of the offseason, putting everything together, studying rookies back in April, all the way till now, it all finally starts to come together, and we get to see, you guys know my saying, we don't know half the shit we think we know, and if we did, this game would be a hell of a lot easier than it is, right? But it's going to be nice to finally see some of this stuff. Is Dameon Pierce for real? Is George Pickens as good as he's been hyped up with his training camp? We have a lot of those types of questions, and we finally start to get to see that come to fruition here in week one. But we had some people in here early. Thomas says, hey, yo, all the way over from Europe. Anthony says, good morning.
Leone.
And then Thomas changed good afternoon. So I don't know what time it is over there, but Michael said no.
Afternoon, I'm guessing.
It's
good morning. It's got to be later. Morning.
And Marco says good afternoon. Yeah. I don't know if that's public news for you there, Bryce, but congratulations.
Very big congratulations. Super cool.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, we'll start this off. Mike's dropped a couple questions. Oh, we got an answer. We got our answer. We Q&A'd the.
Oh, it's 5 p.m.
That's going to be my guess.
5 p.m. Holy hell.
So that night game is what time for him?
It's morning.
Monday morning. It's a Monday morning game.
He's like, I get Monday morning football and Thursday afternoon football. I get all. But Michael wants to know, and I think we're going to be unanimous on this one. But Justin Fields or Kirk Cousins starting here in week one. Who you going with there, Rob, Minnesota fan?
I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins, mainly because I'm very excited to see what our Vikings offense looks like now with this coaching change and this just overall change in philosophy on offense. I think we're going to throw the ball a ton, and I think we're going to have to today against Green Bay, and which should be a close game. So I do like Justin Fields this year, not so much today, but I'll take Kirk Cousins. How about you, Bryce?
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, Fields has that amazing rushing upside, but I want to see what that offense looks like as well with their new coaching staff and things like that. So I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins, who has all the best, arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. Rick?
Yeah, I'm going with Cousins here too. I like Fields a lot, but since I put out my tiers and everything, rain. We've got a couple games here today that are supposed to have some rain. We don't want to attack that if we've got another option. That's Kirk Cousins is a pretty safe option every week. He doesn't throw picks. He doesn't put up duds normally. And with this offense changing, more Rams-esque, throwing a lot and I'm real excited to see what Justin Jefferson does in that Cooper Kupp role because, oh, God, if he gets that Cooper Kupp role, that could be just nasty. Because we know Cooper Kupp in the Cooper Kupp role is nasty, and Justin Jefferson is he's more physically gifted. I think that in time he'll get as savvy and whatnot as Cooper Kupp is, because that's how Cooper Kupp wins, right? He's not like the freak athlete. But right. Justin Jefferson, when he gets more experience, oh, goodness. If he's getting that many targets, it's over. Okay. Oh, wait. Michael had one more, and I missed it. Where'd it go?
It's two of
There we go. Elijah Mitchell or Miles Sanders? I think this one's going to be unanimous too, but Bryce, why don't you start us off on this one?
Yeah, Elijah Mitchell for me for sure. I'm not sure how that Philly backfield is going to pan out. I've been hearing that it's going to be a committee back there, where when Elijah Mitchell is healthy and on the field, he's getting majority of the carries. So it's easily Elijah Mitchell for me. Sully.
Yeah, I'll agree. I'll agree with you, except for the easily part. I think the weather in Chicago could change that factor a little bit. And I think the Eagles are going to try to get Miles Sanders in the end zone early this season, considering he didn't get in there at all last season. So I wouldn't be surprised if he scores today, but I would take Elijah Mitchell over Miles Sanders here in a vacuum for sure. Rick?
Yep, I'm on board. I'm going with Elijah Mitchell as well. The rain doesn't bother me a whole lot because that just might lead to them throwing the ball less with Trey Lance and get Mitchell even a few more carries. So not too concerned about that with the running game, but that Eagles offense, I love Miles Sanders. And Miles Sanders has been an efficient running back all the opportunities he's got in the NFL. But for some reason last year they didn't use him, and then they did use him, but then they didn't use him in the red zone, and then like just real goofy usage. Yeah, we're going to have to see how that offense works with A.J. Brown coming to town, another year under the belt for Hurts. How's that going to play out? How are they going to use all those running backs? Hard to tell. Elijah Mitchell, locking him in there. All right, now let's get down here. We got Facebook user. Do you have that up, Bryce? Do we know who this is?
I did. Let me go ahead and answer it, and I'll pull it up.
Hurts against the Lions or Lamar against the Jets. This is one of those good problems to have, but gonna piss you off every Sunday when you pick wrong. I'm going with Lamar against the Jets, especially with Dobbins out. I think that's going to mean more rushing attempts for Lamar. I mean, I don't think you're going to go and give them all to Kenyon Drake and Mike Davis. So your best option at running the ball is absolutely Lamar, and he gets the Jets, which is good. So he's checking just about every box that you could check. Sully, I see a nod, and you agreeing with Lamar?
Yeah, and I think add to all of what you said, which I 100% agree with, the contract situation, and Lamar probably starting off his annual or his 2022 FU tour here. So I think he's going to do what he can to show that he wants a fully guaranteed contract that's worth $280 million. So
yeah,
I think they're both top 5 this week, though. So that's
it's
great problem
it's
to have.
A good problem to have until you're making the decision every week, and then you're like, oh shit, which one do I go with? They both have a good matchup this week, and you just hope they both hit, and you're not too upset, and you get the dub. Bryce?
Agreed.
Yeah, it's Lamar for all the same reasons you guys said. I was about to bring up the contract year, but Sully hit it. So, yep, Lamar for me. And that was Castile.
Castile?
Yep.
Hey, thanks for coming in, Castile. He's a regular every Sunday during the season. It's much appreciated. Andres here says, sup, fellas? Happy week 1. 2 questions. Tua or Justin Fields? Half PPR flex, Robert Woods, Michael Thomas, Miles Sanders, or Michael Carter? Rob, what are you doing?
I'll get the first one out of the way pretty easily, and I will take Justin Fields over Tua here. I think they'll probably be close with the weather being a bit of a factor, but I like Fields' upside with his rushing ability. The other one's pretty interesting for me, so I want to say Michael Thomas, and I want it to be Michael Thomas. We don't know who Michael Thomas is. We haven't seen him in 2 years. He's got a new coach, a new quarterback, all these different things, but I'm still going to go there. I still think the upside is there. So I'll go with Fields and Michael Thomas. Bryce.
I agree. It's Justin Fields for me. Tua is going against New England, and the one thing that New England's defense is pretty decent at is their secondary, and they're always good at taking away a team's best target, which will be Tyreek Hill this week. So it might be a good week for Waddle. But with that being said, Justin Fields' rushing upside just can't be ignored. And then for me, it's Michael Thomas as well. Sanders and Carter in that weird running back situation that we need some clarity in first before I want to plug either of them into my lineup. And then Robert Woods is in a new location as well, where I think that he, Austin Hooper, and Treylon Burks will all be involved in that offense. And I don't know who's going to be the main target for Tannehill. Whereas Michael Thomas, I think, will see his fair share as long as he's on the field. So I agree with your picks. Rick, who do you got?
I'm with you guys. We have not disagreed at all yet, which is a little frustrating because we like a little debate around here, right? But no, I agree. The other thing with Robert Woods is we haven't seen him on the field in a little while. It's not as long as Michael Thomas, but not only have we not seen him on the field, but we have not seen him ever on the field with Ryan Tannehill and the Tennessee Titans. So I think there's just as many question marks with Robert Woods as there is with Michael Thomas. But the last time we saw a healthy Michael Thomas, he was the best wide receiver on the planet. So even if he's 75% of what he was then, he's going to be a good wide receiver in fantasy. If he dips to 50%, he's a flex option. And then below that, then that's when we start getting worried, right? And then we've got the big question marks in those running games. Is it going to be Bryce Hall? Is it going to be Michael Carter? The Jets are really trying to make us believe that it's Michael Carter A and Bryce Hall B. I like Michael Carter. I think he's a fine NFL running back, but I do think Bryce Hall's a little more talented, but we know how it goes, right? Rookies, the beginning of the season, just never know what they're going to get. And then we already talked about Miles Sanders. I agree with all that. We've got Ramondre or Gordon. My other starter is Javonte, though. So I'm personally going with Ramondre, and Bryce is going to be Ramondre 101, blah, blah, blah. I think that we're going to see the Patriots do what the Patriots do and run the ball a lot. He's going to get at least a portion of that, right? I mean, at worst, he's probably getting 40% of the carries, even if Damian Harris gets 60%. And then Ramondre has a good shot to be the pass-catching running back on this team, which we know is a very valuable asset to have. And we don't normally see that running back get 12 to 15 carries potentially and get the passing catch work in for the Patriots. So if he's going to get that running work that the Patriots running backs don't normally get that catch the ball out of the backfield, this could be a very valuable asset throughout the season. Sully, what do you think before we get to the Damian Harris stand up here in the
I just personally enjoy the Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson banter, so I might just sit back and relax here. This one's tough for me. I agree with you with Ramondre. I think he's definitely in line for 12 to 15, 16 touches, and some of them could come through the air. Gordon's a little bit different. I'm kind of mixed on it because does Denver blow the doors off of Seattle in Russell Wilson's revenge game return and Gordon gets a lot of second half run? I don't know. But I'll go with Ramondre here. I know Ty Montgomery is probably active and could be in that passing role as well. But I think Ramondre Stevenson is just at this stage the better talent. So that's where I'll go.
One thing that I forgot to say before we move on is that I feel like even if Denver blows the doors off of Seattle, we talked about the contract narrative with Lamar Jackson. We've got that revenge narrative with Russ Wilson being pissed at Seattle. He might not stop throwing the entire game. He might just show them that you should have been letting me cook for the last 10 years.
That's fair.
So that's another thing with the running game in Denver that worries me a little bit. There should be some touchdown upside, but I think Russ just cooks the entire game. And
I think they absolutely destroy them.
So. Bryce.
Yeah, it's Ramondre for me rather easily. I mean, these guys are both the running back twos on their teams respectively, but the way the Patriots are, especially with no James White this season, I can't imagine anybody being a better pass catching back on the team than Ramondre. And I don't really see New England being ahead in this game. So I could see a lot of usage in Ramondre. I think he gets more catches than he does carries, honestly. So I'll go Ramondre pretty easily.
Oh, you're going to be sad.
We made a bet of Damian Harris and Ramondre, but this is when James White was still not retired. So I don't like the bet nearly as much as I did when I bet.
I'll let you out of it right now if you want.
I will take out of it 100%. Yeah,
okay.
I'll take out of that bet.
That's lame. What the hell?
Oh, don't worry. We're going to make plenty of bets.
We still have the Waddle. I'm going to regret that, but we still have the Waddle and Tyreek Hill bet every week. So
you're not going to regret the Stevenson Damian Harris one. I promise you.
We'll see.
I'm just hoping you lost your notebook from last year because I owe someone like $1,000.
No, it's up here. It's up here.
He says I owe someone $1,000. It's me. Pick me.
Yeah, it sure isn't. I didn't win one, I don't think.
Marco says, who do I start? Dotson, Wan'Dale Robinson, Tolbert, or Palmer? Half PPR. Bryce, who do you start?
This is Dotson for me. Like, really pretty easy. I think that I'm pretty sure that he's going to be the second guy on that receiving core that gets targets. I like his talent more than all these guys. It's Johan Dotson for me easily. Sully?
I'm going to go with Josh Palmer. I'm going to pick the best quarterback. Rick taught me that. And it's half PPR, so the volume isn't as necessary. And I could see Palmer having a home run or two in what I expect to be an incredibly high-scoring game against the Raiders. So I'll go with Palmer.
Okay.
Rick?
We're not helping out a whole lot because I'm going with Wan'Dale Robinson here, who is going to be with Kadarius Toney. Those guys are going to be the top two targets in this offense. And they're likely to have to throw today because I think that Tennessee's a better team and Giants are probably going to be trailing. But I also like the fact that we're finally not going to have a total shit show at offense for the Giants because I do think that Brian Dable is going to at least bring some creativity and get some more efficiency out of this offense. And that could lead to some volume for both Kadarius Toney and Wan'Dale Robinson. So we're all a little bit different here.
Is Galladay gone for you then?
I mean, have you seen Galladay play the last 3 years?
I didn't know if you thought like wouldn't be on the field.
No, I just think
he'll be on the field, but he's going to get as many targets as I am this week.
Yeah, I just think that these two young receivers here are electric. You know, that's never been the problem with Wan'Dale Robinson, right? Like, Wan'Dale Robinson's a good athlete. He's fast. He can do all that stuff, but he's just small.
If it was full PPR, Wan'Dale would be my guy for sure.
Isaiah Likely, Robert Tonyan, or Irv Smith. I'm pretty sure I know where we're going to go with this one, but Rob, start us off here.
Begrudgingly, I'll go with Robert Tonyan. I honestly don't like any of the three. I think Irv's going to take a while to get going in that offense, and he's probably the fourth or fifth option in it. Isaiah Likely's a nice story, but I don't believe it until I see it. So it's got to be Tonyan with his touchdown upside. Bryce?
I don't like any of these three options either. Isaiah Likely is probably my favorite talent, but I'm going to go with Bob Tonyan as well until I get a clear vision of how much Isaiah Likely is going to be utilized, especially being the second tight end on that team. Irv Smith Jr., I didn't think he'd be ready for week one because didn't he have a thumb surgery?
He's good to go.
That had him hurt, but I'll go with Bob Tonyan too. All three of these guys are guys that have question marks on how they're going to be used in the offense, but we've seen Bob Tonyan be successful when he's healthy. So I guess I'll go with him. Rick?
Yeah, that's where I'm going as well. I think it's fairly close between him and Irv Smith just because of those offenses and the new the way that Vikings are going to deploy their offense. But Tonyan, we already seen last time he was on the field, he was a big red zone threat. Now we have no Devontae Adams. There's no Allen Lazard this week. There's only a couple wide receivers or receiving targets that Mr. Aaron Rodgers is comfortable with. Tonyan is one of those. And I think he's going to get work. And then Aaron Jones just came out and said, don't be surprised if Robert Tonyan leads this team in receptions. So
he's going to
do what?
I said he's too busy leading them in receptions for that.
Jones. So I think to start it off here, but if you're playing DFS, Isaiah Likely's 2,500. He's rumored to be the number 3 target in that offense. We've already talked about Lamar Jackson wanting that contract. If he's going to do that, he's going to have to throw like he did in his MVP season. Isaiah Likely could be a sneaky little punt option at tight end for 2,500 on DraftKings.
I like that a lot.
Tonyan or Henry, or name a good late round tight end. So we obviously just talked about Tonyan. Does Henry's upside in the red zone bump him over Tanyan for either of you guys?
No.
I think he does. I just don't really like any of these options. I think DeGuara is going to take a step in Green Bay this year. I don't necessarily think it's going to be in week 1, but I think he's going to have a lot larger role than he has in the past. Other late round tight ends that I would think about here is Gerald Everett an option for you? Is David Njoku considered a late round tight end? These are guys that I think
Anthony
are going to
mentioned Austin Hooper, who could be a good option in Tennessee.
I think so too. I'm concerned with where the targets go and the amount of volume in that offense. I still think that's a ground and pound offense, but I think Hooper's a good call. I'll go Henry over Tanyan, but I have zero confidence in it. It's like every other tight end. If they can score, they'll be better than the one that didn't.
Yeah, when you can't project out the volume at tight end, which you can really only do for a handful of tight ends, you're just hoping they get in the end zone. 100%. And both these guys fit that role. Henry filled that role last year. Had a bunch of touchdowns, though. Had a bunch of good weeks.
He had 11.
I do think he might get more volume this year, but I'm going with Tanyan as well for all the reasons we talked about. Henry doesn't have to be relied on in the Patriots offense to move the ball, right? You got Jacoby Myers, you got Parker that's there, you got the running backs we talked about. There's options in that offense, whereas for Green Bay, it's a couple rookie wide receivers, Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, and then Tanyan and the running backs. So it's up for grabs there. I'll take Tanyan where you could potentially get volume and red zone work. Bryce?
I'm going to take Tanyan because, you said DeGuara may get work. I think Jonnu Smith will be more active in this offense this season as well.
That's a good point.
And I see that more in between the 20s rather than the red zone. So I'll just take the better quarterback in this situation.
Tyler also wants to know, Thielen or Thomas? I think this one's going to be pretty easy, right? I talked about how I like Thomas earlier, but Thielen, we already know, even with the offense we assume is going to be better this year, he's been just a touchdown monster over the past 3 years in Minnesota. If Thielen's on the field, you're throwing him in the lineup. We'll know more about Thomas over the next couple of weeks, how that hamstring has healed and everything. I'm taking Thielen. Are either of you taking Thomas in this?
No, I think Thielen scored in 11 of his last 14 games.
I will say Green Bay secondary is pretty gross, though.
It is.
Yeah. But the volume should be there. Let's see here.
You skipped one of Leone's questions.
That's okay.
Yeah, because it's Leone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Seriously.
Poor Leone.
Irv Smith or a probable Zach Ertz? For me, this is Zach Ertz if he plays, Irv Smith if he doesn't. It's that simple for me. You guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Ertz by a mile if they both play with Rondell out as well in the middle of the field. No Christian Kirk. Hello.
Ertz is about he's probably a top 6 tight end week to week as long as he's healthy and in there because he got that volume in Arizona last year.
Great.
Facebook user says, "What's up, gang?" I don't know who it is, but
Joe Lindsay.
Joe Lindsay. Get over to YouTube, Joe. Judy, St. Brown, and Michael. He texted me late last night. He hit a awesome Justin Fields autograph card, rub it in my face, and now he's probably gonna get my money. So he can get over to YouTube, and then I might buy it from him. Judy, St. Brown, Michael Thomas. Pick 2. I think we're all gonna go the same route here, but I'll let you start, Bryce.
I'm going Judy and St. Brown. I think the volume for both of those guys are there. Like we've talked about, Russell Wilson is going to potentially throw for like 400 yards tomorrow. I think, right? They're Monday night, right? Yeah. So I think Judy's the most talented wide receiver on that team. And St. Brown is obviously the most talented wide receiver on his team right now with Jameson Williams being hurt. I'll take Judy and St. Brown easily. Sully?
Judy for sure, and I'm really flip-flopping on the other two here. I'm going to go with Michael Thomas. I just think that if he's active and he's healthy, he's just good. It's just a volume guy. And I'm wondering what St. Brown's volume looks like with DeAndre Swift and TJ Hawkinson back in that lineup. So I think Detroit tries to run more than they throw. And I think when they do go to the air, it'll be to the back and the tight end. So I'll go with Michael Thomas and Judy, but it's very close with those two, Thomas and St. Brown. Rick?
St. Brown's not going to have the 11 to 15 targets that he was getting the last 6 weeks, but I still see him in that 7 to 8 range on a weekly basis. So with that option, I'm taking him over Michael Thomas, and I'm going with Judy. Like I said, I do love Michael Thomas, but when we have guys that we're fairly certain are going to get 6 to 8 targets as another option, I would rather go with those guys until we see how Michael Thomas is. But really, honestly, if you went with Judy and Michael Thomas, I wouldn't tell you it's crazy or anything. We know what Michael Thomas can do if he's on the field, but that will be interesting. So Kevin says Ramondre or J.K. Dobbins, and then he says, actually, I have Ramondre and Dobbins and Kareem Hunt, which too, this is easy for you now, Kevin, because Dobbins is not going to play. So you're going to be going with Ramondre and Kareem Hunt, which I think are two fine options. So we don't really have to go too deep into that one. Hopefully J.K. Dobbins gets back soon. But isn't it funny? I just last week said, I don't care what everybody says. You know, he every time somebody tweets that he's going to miss week 1, he claps back like these people don't know what they're talking about. And then here we are in week 1 and he's not playing.
He's missing it.
Titans D or the Saints D. So we got Titans versus the Giants, and we've got Saints versus the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going with the Titans D because when I'm looking at a defense to play, I want a team that's going to drop back more. I think Atlanta's going to try to run the ball a lot with their 3 running backs and not pass as much. So I would rather go with turnover prone Daniel Jones dropping back more often in a Brian Dable offense than a Marcus Mariota throwing 20 times this week. Maybe it's more because the Saints put up too many points, but that's where I'm going to go. We know that Mr. Daniel Jones will fumble the ball a time or two today, probably. Sully? Bryce, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, I'm gonna go with the Saints defense. I think that Atlanta will try and establish the run game, but I think that game it'll get to a point where they have to throw the ball. And I think the odds of either of these quarterbacks throwing a couple of interceptions are pretty likely. These are both good options this week, but I like the Saints pass rush as well. So I'll just go to the Saints just because of the sacks and along with the potential of getting an interception. Sully?
Yeah, I'm going to lean to the Saints as well. Their run defense is elite. So Atlanta will try to run the ball and they will try to control the clock, but they're not going to be able to. So they're going to be forced to either run with Mariota, which is never a great thing, or try to hit some of their targets. And then you go into the secondary aspect of it, and it's a rookie that's questionable that looks like he's going to play, and then an elite level tight end who's a wide receiver. So I think there's minimal things to shut down on the Atlanta offense, and that the Saints are better equipped to do it. So I'll go there.
All right. We have our first super chat of the season. Taylor, you're the man. He's just trying to get me to come buy that iPhone 14, but he doesn't realize that $1.99 just ain't going to get me there. It ain't going to get me over the hump. So we're going to work on that, Taylor. Drake London, Devontae Parker, Michael Carter, or Josh Jacobs. He's starting 1 in PPR. Sully, where are you going with these?
I'm going with Josh Jacobs. I know they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, but I have a feeling that Las Vegas is going to give him the DeMarco Murray treatment and run him into the dirt this year and then just leave him on the curb. So I think he's probably the safest bet here. I have no idea what to expect out of New England's passing game. I don't know what's going to happen in that Jets backfield. I don't know how healthy or how effective London will be early in the season. So I think Jacobs easily here for me. Bryce?
Yeah, it's Jacobs by a mile for me as well. Carter and Parker, I have no clue of their usage in their respective offenses. I think Drake London is a good option this year, but he's a rookie. It's week 1. He's been dealing with injuries until like right now. So he didn't see any preseason, or maybe he did the week 1, but he hadn't seen any preseason as of late. So again, he's got question marks on how he'll perform. Jacobs, we know what he's going to do. He's going to get probably at least 20 touches, I would think, today. So easy for me. Rick?
Yeah, I mean, when I look at these players, Josh Jacobs probably has the highest ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at these players, Josh Jacobs probably has the highest floor. So that makes it pretty easy for me going with Josh Jacobs for all the reasons that you guys said. Obviously, I think Drake London is going to have a pretty high ceiling once he's healthy and acclimated, but it's just not yet. Let's see here. Just so everybody knows, too, super chats do move you to the top of the line. If you're in a hurry and need your answer fast, that will move you right up to the top.
You were a little slow on Taylor's, by the way.
Well, somebody's got to tell me because I can't see the entire.
Well, then I will then. All right, no problem. Didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like way below. I can't see in the feed, and I just go straight down for anybody else asking.
Yes,
like I just go straight down the list in order when they're asked, unless that super chat's there. Sup, boys? Should I go with Mooney or Bateman as my wide receiver 2 today? Half PPR. Sully, where are you going with this one?
I'm going to go with Mooney. I know the weather isn't great, but I think when you do drop back to pass in Chicago, Mooney's looking at a 30+% target share in that offense. So I'll go there. I just don't think Baltimore has to throw very much today. So even in bad weather, I'll go with Darnell Mooney. Bryce?
Yeah, that game's going to get ugly quick. Baltimore against the Jets. I don't see a reason to be passing a lot of the second half, where the Bears and San Francisco game could be close the entire time, which leaves that pass game open for a lot more volume for Mooney is what I project. So it's Mooney for me as well. Rick?
I love Mooney, but I'm going Bateman here. To get up that much to where you're not throwing, somebody's got to score points, right? And Bateman is the guy that commanded a 20% target share in his rookie season where he didn't even get much preseason or early season action. Once he got back, he immediately stepped into a role where he was getting targets, and that was with Marquise Brown on this team. Now it's him and Andrews, and then we're questioning who's going to be that number 3 option. So even if they only throw 25 times, it could be freaking 10 to Bateman and 12 to Andrews, and then 3 to whoever else just happens to get open on a play, right? So I'm going with Bateman here. If it wasn't raining, I might lean Mooney a little bit, but it is also a worse matchup for Mooney than it is for any of the options there. And I mean, I guess that's not necessarily true, right? Because the other Bateman piece we have is Sauce Gardner, and Sauce Gardner since high school has given up like 0 touchdowns. Didn't even get targeted in the offseason in the preseason. So I still think a rookie, there's still options there, and they move guys around. That Sauce probably ain't going to be on them all the time, but 0.5 PPR, Miles Sanders or ETN? Bryce.
It's ETN for me. Again, both of these, ETN, James Robinson's healthy, so we're all kind of like wondering how he's going to be used. I think he's going to get majority of the carries, and he's going to get like all the passing down work. He already has the connection with Trevor Lawrence. It's ETN rather easily for me. Sully?
Yeah, 100% agree. What's very interesting to me today is James Robinson. I really want to see what this running back looks like. We need someone to show us that they can come back from this injury, and we haven't seen that yet. So maybe it's him. But regardless, I think ETN is heavily involved in all aspects of this game, and I love your link to his college quarterback. I think it's significantly ETN here for me. Rick?
Yeah, no arguments for me. I think we have seen a running back come back from that James Robinson injury, Cam Akers, just last year, but
and last year did we see him come back effectively?
Have you looked at the run defenses that he faced? Yes, he was inefficient, but that was also freaking 6 months after the injury. Like,
sure.
He faced a murderer's row of run defenses. Now it's up here, right? Now it's not even the health issue that he didn't get carries the other night. It's that McVay hasn't seen that mentality that he wants to see out of his running back. And so that part may be an issue, not trusting it or whatever it is that's causing him to do that. But these guys are coming back, and they can come back and they can be stronger. Does that mean he is in week 1? Probably not. But I think, I do agree. ETN probably 75% of the carries this week. But as the season goes on, it's probably going to get more to a 50-50 split on the carries.
For whatever it's worth, they just ruled Snoop Connor out as well.
So they feel pretty good about James Robinson,
I
at
would
least
say
giving
so.
him touches if they're
I
gonna
would say
not
so.
have the third back there. PPR full start Alec Pierce or Robert Woods, Breece Hall. So if I'm just picking one, I'm going with Breece Hall here. I would go. It'd be Breece Hall, Robert Woods, then Alec Pierce for me. Sully, what do you think?
I might go Alec Pierce, to be honest with you. I think it's between Pierce and Breece Hall for me. I think that Pierce is the number 2 option in that offense, but I don't know. I think it's got to be Breece Hall. I just think he's going to get some touches, so I'll go there. I don't really like all 3 of them, to be totally honest. Bryce?
Same.
Yeah, I like Alec Pierce as well, but Breece Hall is as good, if not better, as a receiving back as Michael Carter. So even though he's not listed as the official starter on the depth chart, I see this game again getting ugly for the Jets, and the backs could, both Michael Carter and Breece Hall could see a handful of receptions. So that PPR value that they can see in this week is pretty nice.
And Flacco likes to check down, yes or
he
no?
Does, yes.
I thought so.
Yes.
Okay. So garbage time points count too, right?
Heck yeah,
so,
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Hey, if everybody would hit that like button real quick, doesn't cost you anything and helps us out a ton. Smash that like button, please. And then Andre says, how do you guys feel about Bray as a stash? I missed out on tight ends. Currently have Njoku starting, but Everett, Ali Cox, Logan Thomas, and Fant are available for pickup. Personally here, I'm going with Noah Fant. I'm picking up Noah Fant and starting him. I think people are down on him because he moved from Denver and missed the Russ Wilson in Seattle, but he's not. There's not really a downgrade for him, right? The quarterback play in Denver has been horrible, and it's Geno Smith and then Drew Lock, if he ends up taking over at some point, who has a connection with Noah Fant. Noah Fant's been, top 10 to 13, 14 the last couple seasons. I don't think anything changes for him. If anything, it could be a bump if Geno likes to use the tight end more. So that's where I probably go. It could be Logan Thomas, but I also, Bray was top 10 in the entire NFL in red zone usage. And that's probably not going to change because Gronk's gone. Julio's in town, but he's never really been the red zone monster. We've had jokes for years about how he never got used in the red zone and never had touchdowns. And then Godwin isn't healthy yet. So I do like Bray, but I would start Everett, Fant, and Thomas over him at this point, and all of them kind of rival Njoku for me. And Fant and Thomas are probably, Logan Thomas this week's probably not, just because we want to see how healthy he is and how much he runs. But those are all 3 guys that I'm probably starting over Njoku as this season progresses, unless Cleveland just completely changes the way they use him. Bryce, what are you thinking?
Yeah, my favorite out of all these guys listed is also Noah Fant. It would probably go Noah Fant, then Logan Thomas, then Njoku. Njoku's got Jacoby Brissett thrown to him, I believe, this week. I like Njoku and all. Like, he's a talented guy, but I'm not sure how Brissett is going to utilize the tight end. I like Njoku more for when Deshaun Watson comes back. And then Logan Thomas has been a productive tight end. I believe he ended up tight end 3 that 1 year.
Tight end
but again,
4.
Tight end 4.
Yep.
So I want to see him come back first and see how Carson Wentz uses him. Noah Fant's just the younger, more talented guy out of this group. So I'd be picking him up and stashing him. I would be stashing those 3 if possible over Brady or Everett or Mo Alley Cox.
You want to know how much Carson Wentz is going to use his tight end? It's roughly about 30% since he came into the league, and that's more than any other quarterback since that point. So Logan Thomas, if he's healthy, could have a huge year. Sully.
Really quick, Tyler Algier ruled out. So
Tyler Algier out?
So if Damian Williams is on your waiver wire, go get him right now.
I swooped him a couple places this week.
Yeah, I got a couple spots too. So back to this one. Truth be told, I think I like all these tight ends better than Cameron Brate. And I might be crazy, but I think Julio Jones is a new tight end in Tampa Bay. I like David Njoku, and Jacoby Brissett has targeted his tight ends at like a top 5 rate in his time as a starter. And I think it's because when he drops back to pass, he kind of poops his pants and he has to get rid of the football in a hurry. So I think the targets are going to be there for Njoku. And Njoku, when healthy, is a proven top 12 tight end. I like Gerald Everett. I think the upside in that offense is great. Mo Alley Cox has a quarterback that has lived on force-feeding tight end targets his entire career, so I think that's there. Agree with Rick 1,000% on Logan Thomas and Noah Fant. Noah Fant didn't forget how to play football just because he got traded. So Cameron Brate's got great touchdown upside, don't get me wrong, but stick with starting Njoku and pick up any one of those guys over Brate, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all, but I do think that Brate's red zone usage is going to be super high this year.
I don't disagree.
Oh, hey, listen, sometimes somebody wants to sell a car to me, so they make sure to do what I tell them.
I thought you bought a car.
Do what?
I thought you bought a car.
A card.
Oh, card.
A Justin Fields card that he hit last night.
Oh, right.
Need to start 2 wide receivers, Mike says. Juju Smith-Schuster, Brandon Ayuk, Michael Thomas, Tyler Lockett, Mecole Hardman. This is fairly easy for me. Actually, it's not as easy as I thought. It's not like, Tyler Lockett. It's not Tyler Lockett. It's not Mecole Hardman.
Right. It's Juju. I think we all align with that one, right?
I'm playing Juju. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying Juju's one of them, I think, for all three of us, if I'm reading the tea leaves.
I'm playing Juju.
We all
that's
are.
What you're saying. Yes. Okay.
And
so we're all playing Juju.
My second is Michael Thomas.
With Kittle out, I think I'm going Brandon Ayuk against this Bears team. I think that Brandon Ayuk, both him and Debo, will move around, play in the slot some, play on the outside, and get targets at multiple depths of the field. So I think that I'm going. I think it's I can't believe I started off this by saying this.
I think the Niners offense today is a ton of Debo, a ton of Lance, and a ton of Mitchell. I think, and you alluded to your secondary at the top of this show, or it might even been before we went on. So I just think a rookie quarterback on the road, even though he's not a rookie, pretty much
basically a rookie. It's basically his rookie year.
I just think Ayuk is going to take a little while to get into it. And then let's add that element of the weather into it as well. So I just think Michael Thomas is safer, and Juju is head and shoulders above all these guys for me this week, in my opinion.
Bryce.
I think it's Juju and Tyler Lockett. If you go back and look last year at when Geno Smith was on the field, he targeted Tyler Lockett more than DK Metcalf. This game, like we've already talked about, could get ugly quick. Geno Smith might be forced to drop back and throw it 35 plus times this week. And I see a lot of those targets going to Tyler Lockett. So I'll just start him based on just based on the volume that I'm projecting. Obviously, touchdown upside is very, very low. But I'm kind of countering that with Juju Smith-Schuster's huge touchdown upside. So I'll take the volume and the huge ceiling that Juju Smith-Schuster has as well.
I could get on board with Tyler Lockett if you have to shoot for the moon, right? Like if you had Cam Akers in your lineup Thursday night and got 0 points and you need somebody that can go nuclear, I would say that with Tyler Lockett. But if you need a safe play, I do think either Brandon Ayuk or Michael Thomas. And I can't decide, honestly, between those two. If it was me, I would probably end up flipping a coin because I think Ayuk's going to get used quite a bit. And regardless, he is going to see some Kyler Gordon. And as much as I like Kyler Gordon, he is a rookie. This is his first game under the lights. And he is going to get beat some before he learns how he's not as polished and as ready as Sauce Gardner is. It's going to take him a little bit of time. I do like it long-term though. But I can't decide. So, these guys had a better advice for you on that second one, but start Juju. Anthony says, thanks guys for the in-depth answer on the Rah versus Gordon take. Just got to it. Love y'all's work. Keep it up. Anthony, we appreciate it. We appreciate you showing up and supporting the stream. Shauna McKinley says, full PPR, flex Javonte Williams or Higgins?
Jeez.
Good problems to have, right?
As your flex, I'd say.
Yeah. Sully, which one are you going with here? George Kittle.
This is rough.
This one hurts my head. I'll go with T. Higgins. Bryce?
I'm going to go with Javonte Williams.
I'm going with Javonte, and it's for one reason, and that is we know he's going to get touches, right? Like, he's not going to have a 3 catch for 35 day. He's going to get 12 to 15 carries in this offense. Probably going to get 2 to 3 targets from Russ Wilson. So we know there's going to be guaranteed opportunities with Williams, and that's how I'm going to kind of break up with any close option like this, other than Ayuk and Thomas, because both of them we kind of don't know. Here, I think we know, right? Higgins is probably going to get 8 targets. That's good volume, but it might only be 3 catches for 50 yards. Javonte might get, 17, 18 opportunities, even splitting with Melvin Gordon in a game where there should be some high touchdown upside. I'll go with Javonte there. Got a floor and a ceiling.
Can't blame you for going either way there.
Joe Lindsay has more questions. 1 PPR, Mooney, Waddle, or Lockett. Bryce, I'm gonna let you start off with this one because is Waddle. So that's probably your answer. But you just like Lockett a lot. So,
I do. These are all good options.
Mooney?
I like all these options. No, I'm going Waddle. I kind of alluded to it earlier where Tua and the Dolphins are playing against New England. New England is usually pretty good at taking away a team's best option on the offense, and I think that is obviously Tyreek Hill. So I think that just blows the doors open for Waddle to have a huge game this week. Usually New England will make you beat them with their second or third best option when it comes to the offense, and I think that's pretty easily guys like Waddle and Cedric Wilson. So it's Waddle for me, but honestly, I like all these options. Sully?
I think we're back to Bryce getting paid by the Waddle, so that's pretty cool. I'm absolutely going with Waddle as well. I think that we're going to see a lot of quick hit targets to both Tyreek and to Jalen Waddle this week, so I like him a lot.
Have we seen like how hard they're expecting this rain in Chicago, or is it just supposed to be like a drizzle rain throughout the game? Like,
let me look. I heard it was supposed to be heavy, but I'm also in Canada. We don't know what the hell we're talking about up here. So 1 second.
Right? You guys are like, what? It's not snow?
How do you don't even have to shovel that stuff? That's cool.
if depending on the weather, I'm going with Mooney first. If it's not going to be like a monsoon, I'm not worried about like, decent rain as long as it's not like super crazy.
So Rick, it's currently saying heavy rain and rain to become heavier within the next 3 hours.
Oh, so go Waddle. That makes it easy. If it's gonna be a torrential downpour, we don't want that, which sucks because I put in my Prize Picks things the other day and
there's a bit of that. And there's a flash flood warning too.
Can I take my Prize Picks bets back? Because I have some.
You need to start grabbing 1 sheep, 1 giraffe, 1 lion. Okay, get ready.
No, we can let the lions drown.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
At the bottom of the north. Peter Killian, who shows up for us all the time, supporting the streams, says, "Guys, I need this half PPR, half PFD. What am I missing here?
Points for
drops."
Wow, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd have Deontay Johnson and Evan Ingram in all my lineups.
Deontay Johnson didn't have very many drops last year, by the way.
Oh, he still had a lot of them in his career.
Well, yeah.
You can't have drops if you don't get targets.
Hey, Antonio Gibson, put him in there. Now that he's getting the work again, he drops a lot. And fumbles a lot.
Half PPR, half PFD.
I don't know what PFD is. Point for first down?
Yeah. That makes more sense.
First down.
That makes more sense.
I think is Deontay still questionable or is he in?
He's in.
He's in?
Yeah.
I'm probably going to Hardman.
I'm going to go Hardman if it's points for first down or a half for first down, because I could see a lot of jet sweep stuff, getting some stuff there. And I'm not 100% bought in on George Pickens yet. I know he made a nice toe tap reception in the preseason, but I need to see a heck of a lot more out of this guy than I have so far. Bryce?
I'm going to go George Pickens. I just don't think Hardman's going to get utilized that much. And I've been keeping up with like the Steelers training camps and things like that. And it seems like that Mitch Trubisky really likes George Pickens. It wouldn't surprise me to see him quickly become the number 2 option on that team. I don't really expect it right away, but it wouldn't surprise me either, where Hardman is the number 3 or 4 option. So they're kind of the same options, but I still see George Pickens seeing more touches. So I'll just pick him just for that reason alone.
Well, what would you rather have? A wide receiver that Mitch Trubisky likes, or a wide receiver that's in a Patrick Mahomes offense?
I would rather have the wide receiver I think gets more touches.
I'm not convinced in that, because I think George Pickens right now is the number 5 option in the passing game. And that's Najee, Freiermuth, Johnson, and Claypool.
I think he's going to get more.
I think he's 4A or 4B. I think him and Claypool are interchangeable. I agree.
Well, see, Freiermuth is the one that I would say is interchangeable on volume, but Freiermuth we know is going to be a red zone threat, right? Because he
should be.
He was last year.
So is Pickens, though. He's the biggest guy on that. He's the biggest.
Well, we haven't seen it yet. But we haven't seen it from George Pickens yet.
Yeah, I just think we will. I just think Hardman. I just
see Kansas City potentially.
He's had all the opportunities to be pretty good, and he's just not. So
yeah, I just think it's a little different for him. I'm not high on him season long, but this week that Cardinals Chiefs game could be over 65.5. Like, I just think there could be an absolute, like, the Cardinals defense is gutted from what it was. The Chiefs, obviously, I think want to prove to the world that Tyreek Hill doesn't matter to them. So I just think they score a ton of points. And that's the only reason I'm going with Hardman here, is I think he's A, more likely to score a touchdown, and B, he's more likely to run for a first down in this, what we're perceiving to be here he is, bringing out the...
Put me down.
We get the book.
I'll take Hardman for 5.
He's on like page 60 in there, and the first 59 pages hate me, but I will also go Hardman for 5.
Terrell Too Nice says Chase Edmonds or Dameon Pierce. Sully, why don't you start us off with this one while he's writing down our $5 bet over there?
I'm going to go with Chase Edmonds, and I think Dameon Pierce is a fun story, and it could be Dameon Pierce purely off of volume, because I think he's going to get it. But I honestly think Houston's more of a Rex Burkhead game this week than they are a Dameon Pierce. So I'm going to go with Chase Edmonds, who the Dolphins picked out of any free agent running back available, and should see a significant amount of work, especially in the passing game, to go wrong with Mostert.
To be fair, they picked all the free agent running backs. They literally signed all the free agent running backs.
But they signed him first.
True, but he may have been eager to put ink to paper as well. But no, I don't disagree with you. I'm 100% on board. It is Chase Edmonds, and once we answer this one, I got a notification that we have another super chat that I got to find down here.
Yeah, Taylor wants to buy that card.
I'm going Chase Edmonds as well. Just based on, I think he gets more touches when it comes to the passing game. I do like Dameon Pierce more, and I do think that Raheem Mostert will take over as the actual running back that takes most of the carries. But again, he can't stay healthy.
I was going to say until he gets hurt in the second quarter.
Yeah. Let's get some clarity before I start picking Dameon Pierce.
Yeah, he might get 7 carries this week because the Colts are up 21-0 in the first quarter.
That's true. Yeah, I
Rex
agree.
Burkhead.
I agree 100%.
Nice little sleeper, Rex Burkhead.
Taylor, he wants me to buy that iPhone 14.
Like $499 will get
bumped
it.
Up. Yeah, he just bumped up from $199 to $499 now. He's going there. He wants to know end of year ranking: Gabe Davis or Drake London. I've been off of Gabe Davis all freaking year, and then wouldn't you know, I fade him in all my DFS lineups.
He looked good
because I thought he was going to be popular. I don't know that he looked good. That secondary looked bad.
I don't know. He caught a wide open pass and took it to the house with no one around, and then he caught another one where he almost fell down. Or no, that was Diggs. Sorry, but I think he looked fine. But his quarterback's stinking unreal. So what do you want?
I think he looked fine as well. But yeah, like the first freaking touchdown of the season is literally the guy that I've talked about fading all year. But literally my fat ass could have ran that in. He was so wide open. Yeah, Gabe Davis, I think, is going to be higher because I don't know, with Drake London still nursing this injury. I'm not like low on Marcus Mariota. He's always been fine. But Tennessee didn't use him in the best way towards the end. They quit running him. It's kind of like Trubisky in Chicago, where they quit using him on the run, quit getting him out in the pocket. But Mariota was always good with the tight ends, and that's where Kyle Pitts comes in, right? Because Delaney Walker was a stud tight end with Mariota in Tennessee. So I don't know. Drake London's got to learn the NFL. So I'm going with Gabe Davis ends up with more points this year. But if we're talking in a dynasty sense, Drake London I want easily, because I think Drake London is a guy that could be a top 12 wide receiver in his career. Bryce, what are you thinking?
I agree completely. I was literally going to say the exact same thing. Gabe Davis for this year, Drake London for long term when it comes to dynasty. Yeah, you nailed it. I have nothing else to add to that. Sully?
Sweep it. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Couldn't say any better than you guys did.
Mm-hmm. Jesus, the only time you guys don't want to talk is when I'm trying to get a drink in, huh?
Here, I'll mix it up a little. I'll mix it up a little fun. Then I'll say Gabe Davis finishes higher in rankings, but Drake London's better points per game. How about that?
That could be it. So you're just assuming that Drake London's going to miss some games.
A couple of games here and there, yeah.
Okay, well, Taylor's back. He's really pushing for this iPhone sale.
Prove it, Taylor.
We're getting there. We need about 100 more of these, and then I can afford it. Pittman, top 8 wide receiver, ? Buy that iPhone. I think Pittman's going to be close to this number. I think that he's got the potential to get into the top 8. Will he get there? There's a lot of good wide receivers. That's the only thing. It's not going to be I don't think it's going to be a Pittman thing. I think you're going to have to play all 17 to get in that top 8. Mm-hmm. So we got to have him healthy all year. And then as long as Matt Ryan's arm holds up, I think Pittman ends up there because he's head and shoulders above the second option in the passing game for Indianapolis. He does have a quarterback upgrade as long as Matt Ryan holds up. So potentially, yes, I like him as a top 8 receiver. It's just going to depend on how all the other wide receivers play out because there's a lot of good ones and how healthy they are. Because I think literally one game could nix the whole top 8 option at wide receiver this year. Sully, what are you thinking?
Top 8, no. And the only reason I say that is if you could back touchdowns out of the equation in fantasy football, then I think he is absolutely a top 8 wide receiver. I think he's going to get a ton of targets and a ton of receptions, but I still think they're going to want to run the ball in the red zone more than they're going to throw it. So I think that will be what keeps him on the outside, but top 12, absolutely. I think this is a great talent. Even top 10, I just think he has to score double digits or 8 or 9 touchdowns to get in the top 8. And I don't think that he does. Bryce?
Yeah, there's like 20 wide receivers that could be in this top 8, and it wouldn't really shock us.
Yeah.
And Michael Pittman Jr.'s volume this year is projected. Like, people have been talking about Matt Ryan's just been peppering him in training camps, and we would expect to see that in the regular season. Top 8 wouldn't surprise me. But I guess I'm going to say no just because of all the other talented wide receivers on teams where I think that those wide receivers have a better chance to score more touchdowns, like Sully alluded to. So,
yeah, I do love Michael Pittman a ton.
Me too.
Che from Wyoming says, I'm playing against Stephon Diggs this week, so I need ceiling plays. Full PPR start 2. Cortland Sutton, T. Higgins, Hollywood Brown. For me, this is fairly easy. It's Sutton and Hollywood Brown for me. Hollywood Brown in that Chiefs game, he's going to get a ton of volume with his buddy from college. So I like him. Cortland Sutton, same thing. Russ Wilson, we've talked about it. Think he's going to cook today. And he's going to probably be the 1A, 1B and targets there for Denver with touchdown upside. I love T. Higgins too. I wish I had problems like these, right? Where I'm picking 2 of these 3, but also probably going to be frustrating because it could be any 2 of these 3. Sully, what do you think?
I'm thinking about why can't you start all 3? Like, who are your flexes or what's going on here? Or how many running? Or I don't think 2 or a 3 wide receiver league, but nonetheless,
I don't think we have time for that because it seems like they're just too good.
Okay. Well, you're right. The ceiling is definitely Sutton and Brown. But Higgins could drop a 40 this week. He could catch 2 or 3 touchdown passes, 8 receptions for 100 and change. You never know. So I'd really like to see who you've got penciled in the rest of your lineup and how you can't start all 3 of these guys. But if you can't, go Cortland Sutton and Hollywood Brown for that ceiling. Bryce?
I'm agreeing 100%. I mean, these could be huge scoring games. And then with T. Higgins having Jamar Chase in front of him, he's obviously the big playmaker, where T is kind of the guy that gets the middle of the field stuff that doesn't really break out to be huge stuff, where Cortland Sutton and Hollywood Brown could easily see 2 touchdowns each. It's those 2 for ceiling play for me.
Hayden says PPR, Kirk, Mostert, Watkins, or Deontay Hardy with return yards. This is Christian Kirk by landslide for me. He's going to get a lot of volume. I think he played less than a half in their final game and had 8 targets. They paid the man $21 million. I still laugh every time I say it. Paid that man a lot of money. He's good, right? This whole narrative that Kirk isn't good because of this contract and him kind of getting bashed for that. Kirk is a decent option, especially if he's going to be used as the number one there in Jacksonville. He's not as bad as the narrative is turned because of that contract that they gave him, right? I'm going with Kirk fairly easily here. Bryce, what are you thinking?
Yeah, by far. I think Kirk is kind of one of those sneaky guys that people aren't really thinking about, where he just might get so many targets that he, has great value just based on that. So it's Kirk here by a mile for me as well. Sully?
I've been a Christian Kirk fan since he entered the league. I've always liked him as a talent, and I don't think his talent goes away because he's been overpaid, and no one in their right mind isn't going to sign a contract offer like that. So the contracts are relevant in my mind at this point. What is very relevant is his quarterback likes him, and he's going to target him a ton. And if you needed any indication, and you didn't need much of one, but Laviska Shenault leaving Jacksonville is 1,000% Christian Kirk related, because he's going to own the middle of the field. So easily Christian Kirk for me.
Shauna McKinley says full PPR, DJ Moore or St. Brown? DJ Moore. Easy for me. Sully.
By a mile, and Baker's going to want to ram it down that team's throat. So let's see what he can do. DJ Moore is an incredibly talented wide receiver. It's easily him for me here. Bryce?
It's not easily, but it is DJ Moore for me. I think I'm higher on St. Brown than you guys, obviously, and I really think he's going to have a great season. But DJ Moore is just proven more. So I'll take him until St. Brown's consistently putting more points than him.
That's fair.
With Damian Williams starting, him or Michael Thomas in half PPR?
Ooh.
Bryce?
Is he the starting running back, or is it still technically Cordarrelle Patterson?
I don't know what they're going to do with him.
Yeah. With the perfect answer, because with that being said, I'm going Michael Thomas, where I think there's more clarity in his role in the offense when it comes to the running back situation in Atlanta. So Michael Thomas for me. Sully?
I don't think you can run on New Orleans. So again, now we're going to the air. And if you're going to the air as Atlanta, aren't you going to the air with Cordarrelle Patterson or Kyle Pitts or Drake London versus Damian Williams? I think it's fairly straightforward to go with Michael Thomas here.
I do think it's all of them, but I do agree that there just might not be a lot of opportunity there because they might not be on the field for very long.
That's true too.
I have to choose one person between Kenneth Gainwell, Chris Godwin, Mo Alley Cox, PPR. Bad situation. I know injuries are bad. No other options. Worried about Godwin's snap count. Need high upside because I'm down. I mean, if you need high upside, even Godwin on a pitch count might be the answer here, right? Like,
it is for me.
Like he could just be in for red zone looks and could get 2 touchdowns and only play 15 snaps, right? Like, that's the potential there. Gainwell's got to jump ahead of Boston Scott and Miles Sanders, and then at least two wide receivers and a tight end to get red zone action. Mo Alley Cox is the question mark for me, but
if you're considering playing one of these 3 options, you need that option to score to be relevant for you this week. which one of these three guys is the most likely to score? To me, that's Chris Godwin. So he's the best talent. We know that. He's banged up. We know that. But if he's going to be active, he's going to get targeted, and he's going to have receptions, and he very likely scores a touchdown in what, again, should be a high-scoring football game. Dallas's defense isn't very good. So I think if you're going with one of these three, you might as well go with the upside because the floor is kind of zero for all of them. So I'm going to go with Chris Godwin pretty easily.
Yeah, and if you think about it, if he's on a pitch count, where are they going to use him more? The high leverage situations when they really need something out of him is when they're going to use him because they do have other options. Bryce?
What?
Did you already answer this one?
Yeah, I answered.
They all run together after I asked 40 of them. They all run together.
That's awesome. What's up?
I was like, yeah.
Amon-Ra or
I'm dealing with
Sutton?
Yeah. So I was dealing with commissioner stuff and one league.
Sutton. This for me is pretty easy with Sutton. I'm firing him up.
Me too.
I'm gonna go on Amon-Ra.
Wow, you're really up that high on him? Really?
Mark it down. We have a second one.
Yeah, can we get that?
I don't want to go. This is
then I want to cancel the other one and do this one.
Well, you're not that high on it, so you're not that high on him. You said you were high on him. I want to put it in the notebook.
No, I'm high on him, but I think it's more of like
you're like $2.75 high on him, not $5 high on him.
I'm low on. You know what? We'll do both. We'll do both.
There we go.
Okay, because I wanted to cancel the other one because this one I'm way more confident in.
Gosh, think pen won't work.
Oh, now he's got excuses. Listen
I got
to
it.
this.
I got it.
All the way down to the pen don't work.
I
you got to take the cap off to right.
Amon-Ra.
Man, you make fun of Canadians. We at least take the
But
top
I'm also
off
low
our
on
pens.
Sutton. I don't think Sutton is really as good as people think he is. That's more the
I don't think Amon-Ra is as good as people
That's
think
where I'm at. I'm much lower on St. Brown than most.
Because I'm not as high on Sutton as everybody else, but I'm much lower on Amon-Ra.
Would it surprise you if Sutton caught 8 to 10 passes this week?
No, it wouldn't really surprise me if Amon-Ra did either, but Sutton's a way better end zone target.
Exactly.
Mike Davis, AJ Green, or Bryce Hall, 0.5 PPR. Thanks in advance. Look at this. Sully has to sit back. He has to fix
this
the
one's
beard.
interesting. I like this question. AJ Green's sort of kind of relevant in this one all of a sudden.
All three of them are.
If AJ Green could turn around, he might catch a touchdown in this one. Mike Davis is probably going to lead that team in touches. I don't think Kenyon Drake's been there long enough to do that. And Bryce Hall, I don't know, but that's where I'm going. I'm going to go with Bryce Hall, that garbage time factor that we talked about earlier, and that probably is the best running back on that team. So that's where I'll go. But I think all three of them are intriguing. Bryce?
It's Bryce for me for the same reason. It's not really like something that's easy for me either, but the garbage time potential in the pass game is what leans me to choose Bryce. I don't think Mike Davis will be very involved in the pass game. Lamar will definitely lead the team in rushing attempts. AJ Green, I think for him to be the decision, he's gonna certainly have to put up a touchdown, which I'm not just sold on with Zach Ertz probably playing and then Hollywood Brown and then Kyler's ability to score. I mean, he's like the fifth guy I think would score a touchdown on that team where I think Bryce Hall has a better possibility to do that and has the PPR value.
Who are the four before him?
Yeah, I got to know this because there's only two.
I think the odds of it, obviously, for me are like.
I think there's
obviously,
three.
I was including rushing touchdowns. Like they get in the red zone, they're going to try and run it either with James Conner or Kyler Murray, and then I think the passing options with.
I thought you meant the
Ertz and
pass game.
Yeah, sorry.
Like, what the
he's
hell?
probably the third
Rondell's not
option
playing.
I can't wait.
Not playing.
Is my Andy Isabella share finally going to pay off today?
It could.
Oh man,
It could.
I'm going with Mike Davis here, and I'm going to tell you why.
I knew you were.
We watched Devonta Freeman and freaking Latavius Murray be, not fantasy studs, but they didn't kill your lineup last year running in this Ravens offense. And that was with both of them splitting the work, basically. Mike Davis last year, we just looked this up last night. I was talking in the Discord, and we looked it up. Mike Davis, I think, scored 10 points or more in, I think it was 12 of their games last year.
It was the first 8 weeks. For sure.
Yeah, he didn't have a bunch of huge games. Like, I think the highest he had all season was 16.9, but that was on a terrible Atlanta team. When Lamar Jackson's on the field, it opens up this running game. And every running back that's ran in that offense since Lamar's been there has been more efficient in that offense than they have in any other offense. And got good running backs like Dobbins were literally the most efficient in the NFL. Whether it's Mark Ingram, whether it's Gus Edwards, whether it's J.K. Dobbins, they've all been efficient. There's a floor here baked into Mike Davis that we don't have with A.J. Green or Bryce Hall. Bryce Hall may end up having the highest ceiling out of them, but Mike Davis could put up 15 points today and not even play very well, just because of the way that offense works. So I'm going with Mike Davis. Shauna says, one more, please, Bellinger or Henry. So I'm assuming this is Hunter Henry, and that's who I'm going with because of the touchdown upside in that New England offense. Sully, what are you doing?
I'm agreeing. I am intrigued by Bellinger and want to see what he can do, but it's Henry right now, for sure.
Yeah, Henry rather easily for me as well.
Chase Edmonds or Marquise Brown? Bryce.
Marquise Brown by a wide margin. Sully?
Brown as well, not quite as wide, but still fairly wide.
It's a huge gap for me on Marquise Brown's side. I think him and
Not bigger than
Kyler.
my gap.
Do what?
It's not bigger than my gap.
That $5 bet? My gap's bigger than your gap.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say what I want to say.
I know.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you have a bigger gap.
All right. Fair enough. I set myself up for that one.
Mike Smith, flex. Mike Smith asks, flex, Josh Jacobs or Damian Pierce? This is Josh Jacobs for me.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs. This is rather easily, I think Sully alluded to it earlier, that this might be a Rex Burkhead day for Houston over Damian Pierce. He's just more of a brute running back that I don't see getting too involved in the pass game. Sully?
It's Josh Jacobs by a Bryce-sized gap for me here.
That's a huge gap. Huge. Marco says, got Pitts and Hawkinson. Should I trade one of them? My answer to this is yes, because you're barely ever going to play both, and there's the potential that it's going to be a tough decision week to week. If Mariota and that Atlanta offense sucks, I would personally just trade Hawkinson if you can get something worth it, but I wouldn't force it either. Sully.
I think it comes down to whether or not I can flex the tight end. If I can flex the tight end, then maybe I'm going to hang on to both, and I'll flex, Pitts or Hawkinson weekly because I think that's probably going to be advantageous depending upon the rest of your roster. But yeah, if you can only start one of them, it's a waste of a spot. So get what you can. And maybe Pitts is the guy you trade if you have bigger holes in your team. So I think you try to trade one. Bryce?
Yeah, maybe try and wait till after this week one and see a team that maybe took a tight end early, like a Schultz or a Dallas Goedert, and then maybe one of those guys disappoints week one and they freak out and see if you can capitalize on that.
Somebody could get hurt too.
Yeah, and don't sell for cheap just because you have the depth is
right.
Definitely my advice.
Savvy advice.
AJ says St. Brown, Hall, or MT. We've had a lot of questions about these three guys this week.
Yeah, I knew Bryce would be in a lot, but I didn't expect St. Brown and MT.
I'm starting Michael Thomas myself. Out of these three, Sully.
I think I already picked Michael Thomas over St. Brown, so I should probably stay consistent. I will do that as well. Bryce.
I think I picked St. Brown. So I think I also I will stay with St. Brown.
I would go St. Brown over Hall, though, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I would be MT, St. Brown, Hall in here. Agreed. Just because we don't know what the Jets are going to do.
Well.
The Jets might Jets and Bryce Hall get Cam Akers style usage.
That's definitely a possibility.
That's cry.
Juju or Amon Ra? It's not Amon Ra for me. It's Juju.
100% Juju.
It's Amon Ra for me.
Notebook?
No, I don't like this one's close too.
Okay.
This one's close too. I like Juju a lot. I just also like Amon Ra just a little bit more.
Fair.
And then Marco says, thank you for the help. And that gets us through this list. You guys were awesome today.
Right at 12:15.
That's awesome.
Yeah, right. We appreciate all the support. You guys dropping in, spending this hour and 15 minutes from us every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Us three will be here ready to answer your questions, and we will stick around in between 12 to 12:30. Just give us enough time to make sure our lineups are in and we can get all that done. So any last words of knowledge, Bryce, or do you have your first words of knowledge of the day?
Oh, okay. I have good luck to everyone in their fantasy league, unless you are playing me, Sully.
And then you don't need it. You're just better than he is.
That's probably true.
I have enough rebuilding rosters this year that I'm just glad football's back, man. Like, let's just have some fun this week. Let's hope players stay healthy. Everybody gets a ton of points. Win or lose, this is way better than what you were doing last week. So let's go.
That's fair. Absolutely.
That is 100%
Thank you, Joe.
true. Joe says great content as always. Joe, I appreciate you coming in. And we will be talking about that Justin Fields.
Rick, are you going to stream your unveiling of your iPhone 14 that you're going to buy later this week?
Yeah, I'll probably have to do like an unboxing of that.
Yeah, like a full-on review.
Fields. Yeah.
And can I buy your old phone?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
essentially.
So I took my phone out of my case probably the first time in like 2 months to clean it, and I did not have any clue what it looks like. It's completely shattered on the back.
I'd put it back in the case.
I was like, yeah, we're good. I bought a new case.
I just spent $60 on a new case, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I should get a new phone.
Yep. Yeah. I always like this one because I've got like the wallet case, but I just got all my insurance and stuff. So I was like, I
had to quit using the wallet case, and I'll tell you why. The last time that I got stupid drunk, I was out and I was with a bachelor party, and this was like 8 years ago, almost exactly 8 years ago. I had all my business credit cards, my personal debit cards, credit cards, all in that. And apparently at some part of the night, I was like, I gave my phone to like a random person that was in our party that I didn't even know. And I was like, take my phone because I'm going to call my ex. I had just gotten out of a relationship. And the next day I wake up and don't have my phone. It's got all my money, all my cards, everything in it. And I just gave it to somebody.
Should have given him your SIM card. So you should have given him.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I got to stop drinking. I'm just literally giving my shit away. Luckily, they called somebody else in the party the next morning and said, hey, we've got Rick's phone and all of his stuff. And it worked out. But I was like, okay, man. I had not been drunk since that night up until the NFL draft when I was in Vegas this year.
Wow.
It'd been 7.5 years since I'd been drunk. That was the night that got me to quit. But I got to go. I got lineups to set. Good luck, everybody.
Yeah.
We'll see you next Sunday morning.
See ya.